All right, we're going to get started with a flag salute. Roll call.
Michael Richmond,
Here.
Rich Patterson.
Here.
John Pitts,
Here.
Dan Adams,
Here.
Craig Palmisano.
Here.
Rich Tolson,
Here.
Johanna Persky. Herb Pizzagno,
Here.
Stephen Giesecke,
Here.
Drew Campbell,
Here.
Sam Friedman,
Here.
Patty Rosenberg.
Okay, this meeting is being held in accordance with New Jersey statute requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act Sunshine Law. Notice of this meeting has been advertised in the press and posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. All applicants are hereby advised that if you receive board approval tonight, you must come forward and sign a form outlining the procedures for obtaining building permits and mercantile licenses. At the conclusion of your case tonight, please approach the board administrator, Palma, to sign the provided information sheet. All right, next we have approval of minutes, meeting of May 29th, 2025. Number 23, 2025, Jerry Slipikoff. Number 24, 2025, Robert Orm. 25, 2025, Roy and Joanne Goldberg. 26, 2025, Michael and Mandy Dorfman. Do I hear a motion to approve? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Oops, how about approval minutes? For the meeting of May 29, 2025, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. We have two cases tonight. The first one is Joseph and Barbara Murray, 104 South Kenyon Avenue, Block 12, Lot 11, located in the S30 zoning district, seeking C variance relief for building coverage height and potentially others in order to elevate the existing single-family home. Current on taxes, water and sewer payments, proof of advertising, and notifications provided, represented by James P. Swift.
I'll get Mr. McLaren sworn in. Mr. McLaren, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you'll give this evening will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is James Swift. My office is at 1335 Tilton Road, Northfield, New Jersey. I'm appearing this evening on behalf of Joseph and Barbara Murray for the application at 104 South Kenyon Avenue. Mr. and Mrs. Murray are here in the second row. I also have with us Mr. Halliday, our architect. He's the person who prepared the plans. Briefly, if the board will remember, this is not the first iteration of these plans that have been before the board. We were here in June. We took into consideration the comments of Mr. McLaren, some of the concerns of the board members. We modified these plans, and what we're proposing before the board is to take the old garage, which is, it's dated, there's no question about it, eliminate the garage altogether, shift the house to such a position that some of the bulk area requirements will actually be lessened. So what we're hoping that the board makes a determination that this house, pursuant to the proposal that we have before the board, will be more compliant than it's presently situated. Some of the bulk area requirements, such as the aggregate side yard setbacks, which are presently 5, are going to go to approximately 16 feet. That's a significant difference. In addition, the impervious coverage will be lessened. So those two bulk area requirements will actually be more compliant than the property presently exists. By removing the older garage, it eliminates some of the coverage issues. What we've proposed here is to take the first floor and basically make it non-livable garage, storage, outside shower, or not outside, but a shower enclosure inside. Not inside, but non-livable space. There'll be no appliances, things of that nature. By doing that, it makes us, by necessity, request what I would consider a relatively moderate height variance. What Mr. Halliday has done is taken into consideration that instead of, let's say, having a 3-foot 6-inch crawl space, he's basically asking the board to permit us to lower the first floor a little bit so we can have parking underneath and a ton of storage. Mr. Halliday has heard the concerns of multiple boards in this area where they're saying, you know, you've raised it and you've taken the property out the floodplain, but there's no storage. So what you're left with is, in the summertime, is that a house, it's, yes, this high, it has a crawl space, but now the lawn chairs, the bicycles, all the accoutrements for the beach are now all over the lawn. So what we've done here is not only given some significant storage space, but we've also given significant parking. This presently configured property has 3 spaces for parking. If the board approves this, this will be 7 parking spaces, 2 of them underneath. Also, too, I would submit to the board that this configuration, in other words, first floor storage, parking storage, is a configuration which is consistent with the number of properties that are happening in Margate. Also, too, the important thing, presently, the property is 3 feet 6 inches below flood. So to make it compliant, it has to come up. So we figured instead of making it 3 feet 6, raise it a little bit, put parking underneath, put the storage, the lawn chairs all over the place, the rafts and the beach accoutrements all over. It's a nicer setup. Again, we think that if the board approves this, this property will be more compliant with the new proposal than it presently sits. I have at this point Mr. Halliday to discuss the technical parts of the application. If, Mr. Bliss?
Jim, Roger, did you?
You want to swear Chris in first?
Huh?
Sure.
Let him swear in his
Yeah.
witness.
Sure. Mr. Halliday, just give us your name and business address, and I'll get you sworn in.
Chris Halliday, Halliday Architects, 728 West Avenue in Ocean City.
Okay, and please raise your right hand. You swear affirm the testimony you'll give this evening will be the truth?
It will be, yes.
And you've been here numerous times, registered architect in the state of New Jersey.
Yes.
We'll accept his credentials as
Yes. Okay. So, do you want to do, you're going to do?
Sure.
Yeah.
Real quick, before I go into my report, I just want to acknowledge that a recent member of the planning board recently passed, Joe DiGirolamo. Good board member. He had to resign because he moved out of town. He moved all the way to Longport, far away. But it was sad to see him go. I didn't realize he was 80 years old, but he looked like he was 70 for about 25 years.
That's true. You did
He'll
look,
be missed. No, he was a good guy, good board member, and anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, on to bigger and better things. My report is based on the application of Joseph and Barbara Murray, 104 South Kenyon Avenue, Block 12, Lot 11, located in S30 zoning district. Seeking C variance relief and planning and zoning report. The background is as follows, and to jump on what Mr. Swift was saying, there's a state law where before Sandy came, and actually right after Sandy came, if you had elevated a house and it was non-conforming, expanding a non-conforming, you couldn't do it. So Governor Christie, in August of 2013, passed a law where allows non-conforming structures, both use and setbacks and whatever, to be elevated to BFE +3 without coming from the planning board to get it out of harm's way, which makes perfect sense. Here we measured +3 to the bottom of the floor. So now that they want to go to +9 from grade in order to have parking, which we endorse, but if you have existing nonconformities, they spur variances, and that's why they could, by law, raise this to BFE +3 to the bottom of the floor without showing up here. But they are making some modifications, and I just wanted to explain why we're here. And they're not really changing that much. And also one thing that they are getting rid of that detached garage, is actually, looks like it's over the line. So your actual building coverage, even though detached garage, actually it does, your building coverage goes down by removing that attached garage. So going back to my report, page 2 is the zoning chart in reference to this property, highlighted in yellow or gray, depends on how you got the report, or indicate where the variances are. Page 3, at the bottom of the documents reviewed, section 2, continued on 3, the plans received, and you can see that these are the revised plans from Mr. Chris Halliday, and the variances are required as follows. Side yard setback to the building on the right, whereas the minimum side yard setback is 8 feet, 0.2 feet exists to the former attached garage, and then the 10.8 feet to the house and 5 feet is proposed. So they're moving the house over so it complies with it will be 5 feet away from the property line on the right side, creating more space on the left side for additional parking, as you can see on the plans. Side yard setback to the building combined, this is the aggregate that Mr. Swift was talking about, whereas the minimum combined side yard setback is 18.5 feet, which is based on 37% of the lot width. 5.1 feet exists, and if you take the garage out, it's 14.7 feet, and 16.0 feet is proposed. Again, even without the garage, you're improving the aggregate side yard setback. Building coverage, whereas the maximum building coverage is 39.375%, 47.4% exists, and 39.8% is proposed. They're making an improvement, and it's slightly more than what it's allowed to be, but it's still a variance. Principal building height, again, you're taking 31.4 feet of house from roof to the first floor. You're moving it up because they're going past BFE plus 3. That is now a variance. So it's 27.9 feet exists and 31.41 feet is proposed. Again, because they're adding a ridge to the top floor. Garage door setback, it's my understanding that this variance will be eliminated on my conversation with Mr. Halliday earlier today, so they will comply with the 18 feet from the garage door to the property line. Now, technically speaking, as an engineer, I have an issue with the access to the driveway on the left. You have to drive over the lawn. My suggestion is to seek a curb cut width variance in order to facilitate the use of that side yard setback or the driveway on the left. So I would say maybe 22 feet would probably work instead of the 18 feet that's required. Again, it's a suggestion. It's up to the applicant if they want to pursue that. If they don't pursue that, I think that's not going to work too well. Or they have to fill in some of the grassed areas, which they have room to do, where the tire will be driving over the grass. So I'm not going to go through all my comments. I turn over to the testimony of the applicant at this time.
Just to clarify, we do have an exhibit. Mr. McLarnon's comments during this last review allowed us to get in his head a little bit, and we did address moving the garage door back in order to have 2 spaces right in front of the garage door, which also allowed us for more space to make that turn to the side yard. So I have an exhibit here to show those modifications for each board member. None of the bulk criteria changed because it's an internal adjustment, but essentially we're able to just have 2 fully conforming parking spots in front of the garage with 2 conforming parking spots in the garage. And I saw a couple board members' heads pop up when Mr. Swift said that there are 7 parking spots. The report says 5. Now there are 7 conforming parking spots with the new layout.
Okay. And I'll call this Exhibit A1, just for the record.
Gotcha. You have 7, it's like 2 in the garage, 2 in front, and then 3 on the side.
You eliminated one of my questions.
Yeah, mine too.
How many questions?
Mr. Chairman, could I ask you a question while he's passing these out?
Sure.
Mr. Swift,
Yes, sir.
I wasn't clear on the shower. First you said it wasn't outside, then you said it wasn't inside.
It's ground floor, non-livable space.
Outside shower, completely outside, no
That's all I
plumbing,
needed.
no
Thank you.
drainage to the sewer line.
Thank you.
Well, I'll do my best to not repeat the testimony of the engineer as well as the attorney, but the Murrays hired us to help renovate their 2003 home. It's a traditional style home, and we wanted to keep that traditional style and just improve upon it. Currently, it is 3.5 feet below what is allowed for the flood ordinance. So when looking at the Murray's needs and their growing family, and they have children in their teens and 20s with each having vehicles. Parking is a concern, especially on that block, which is part of the reason why we pulled the application last month. That first week, the Memorial Day week, the Murrays called and said, you know, it was chaos on our block. We need to figure out a way to have more parking, which it was their idea to move the building over to allow for the 3 spaces on the ocean side. So the proposed renovation is to raise the home in the air 9 feet, which is what we see in Margate all over. It's actually, if we were to build new, it would be a by right application to go 9 feet above the curb and then 30 feet above that. We are slightly higher just from previous non-conforming conditions of about 1.5 feet. So none of the heights of each floor are changing. We're just lifting that house up to 9 feet above the curb. We are reducing the building coverage by 239 square feet, which is a difference of 7.6%. We're adding, by removing that garage, adding 11 feet in side yard setback, and we're also reducing the impervious coverage by 5.7% with this renovation. So feel like it's an improvement. We're getting it out of the flood zone. We're allowing for additional parking in a very busy part of town on a beach block, and we're improving the exterior aesthetic with high-quality materials, kind of taking the essence of the home and just trying to improve upon the aesthetic using current materials rather than materials from 2003. And it's a well-maintained house on the inside. They've done a great job, so there's not much on the inside in regards to the renovation. We're taking a chimney that was on the outside, we're pulling that fireplace inside so it's no longer projecting into the outside, and we're adding some exterior space.
So what are you going to ask for a driveway variance, curb cut variance?
If the board will permit that,
I mean, you know, I'm looking at the picture, and I totally agree with Roger. I mean, it looks pretty awkward to be able to, you know, try to squeeze. I've never seen that, actually, to be honest with you.
they have a similar situation on the other side now, which is why they were comfortable with the kind of the curb cut scenario. But if the board were to permit that, we'd love that. Obviously, you can't park on this street during the summertime, so
Right.
it wouldn't prohibit additional parking on the street in the summertime, and it would allow us easier access in and out. So going for that 22-foot curb cut,
Right.
we'd like.
So are you going to ask for that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
22 feet you think will work?
Yes.
Okay.
Part of the reason why we have that landscape is there is, with stairs, a landscape frontage ordinance. So we still want green space in the front with the driveway and the new parking on the side, which is why we have the greenery there that we
Right.
would have to drive.
Yeah, with the steps, there is an allowance to reduce it down to 50% for the front yard, and I think you could probably make that work with the combination of the wider curb cut,
Mhm.
and maybe fill in those areas where the tire will
We
roll
can
over.
certainly make that work. It's probably about 12 square feet.
So we can work that out.
Sure.
So you still be compliant, it's not a variance.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Could I ask Mr. Halliday a few quick questions?
Sure.
Mr. Halliday, are you familiar with the Municipal Land Use Act?
I am.
You're familiar with the Margate zoning laws?
I am.
Zoning ordinances? Did you take the Municipal Land Use Act statutes and the Margate zoning ordinance into consideration when putting your plans together?
I did.
All right. Would it be your professional opinion that this plan, this application, if approved by the board, would further the spirit and the intent of the Municipal Land Use Act?
Yes.
And would it do any damage to any, let's say, spirit of the Margate zoning ordinance?
I think by preserving the existing housing structure, adding some exterior space, making aesthetic improvements, getting the house out of the flood zone, and increasing parking while reducing building coverage and lot coverage, there's all clear benefits. So I don't think there's a detriment.
Thank you.
Great. Anybody from the board have any questions or comments?
I do like that ground floor, there's really not any room to make habitable space. A lot of it's open, I like that. And, you know,
Yeah, so just to confirm, the indoor-outdoor patio on the back, that's open?
Okay, correct. Yep.
No doors on the backside?
You'll notice that there's no, one of the things the Murrays are lacking in their current house with crawl space, they don't have an exterior deck on the
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
There's no private space in the back, and that was part of the reason why they asked us to look at the design in the first place, is just to give them a more private exterior space in the backyard. So it is completely outside.
So to tag on to that, you still required to have a non-conversion agreement for that ground floor, as you know,
Right.
on the record.
Anybody else on the board?
Do we have any idea if we increase the curb cut, is it eliminating a parking space on the street at all? We don't know that.
We're filling in a curb cut on the bay side
Yeah.
to increase area. Next to, there would not be room for a spot. There's a curb cut right now for the neighbor, right on the property line. So this would make it so it's curb cut, small curb, curb cut. There wouldn't be,
There wouldn't be a parking space there in any case.
maybe a bike, but not a car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we're going to open it up to the public. Anyone from the public like to speak?
We do have two neighbors who are here, Mr. Chairman.
Well, do they want to speak? No? Okay. All right, public portion's closed. Leo?
Okay, if there's no further questions, it's a C variance application. I'll summarize the variances. It's a side yard setback on the right side of 5 feet, where 8 feet's the requirement. It's a betterment, but it's still a variance because they're getting rid of the garage. The combined side yard setback, again, it's a variance, but it's a betterment. 18.5 is the requirement, 16.08 is proposed. Building coverage, they've gotten that down. The requirements, the permitted maximum's 39.375%, and they're just over at 39.8%. And then the building, the building height, because of the lift, 30 feet's permitted, and they're at 31.41 feet, so that is a C variance. And the curb cut, one 18-foot wide curb cut's permitted, and the variance is for a 22-foot wide curb cut. And they're going to make the garage door setback comply. In terms of conditions, I'll note the non-conversion agreement. Anything else in Mr. McLaren's report unless otherwise addressed. And then just the other standard conditions, subject to any outside approvals that may be required, any representations made during the course of the hearing.
Sorry, I have one more quick question. The plan shows a street tree in front of the house? Is that-
In my report, I said they don't have to have a street tree.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, we'll need a motion, a second, and a roll call vote.
I'll make that motion.
Michael Richmond?
Okay, so we're raising the house to get it out of the flood zone. We're creating seven parking spots. I think that more than justifies the curb cut variance. I agree with Roger, it'd be really awkward, to try to squeeze in there. I really don't see any detriment to the neighborhood. I mean, I know the neighbors came, and I know the neighbors on the other side, and they didn't come, so I don't really think that, there's any detriment, and I'm going to vote yes.
Thank you.
Richard Patterson?
My main concern was the 14 feet in front of the garage, and they answered that, so I agree with Mike, I approve.
Thank you.
Dan Adams?
Thank you. I'm going to echo Mr. Richmond and Mr. Patterson's comments. I think it's a good design. I think moving it over, you meet the criteria for the side yard setbacks. And I think overall with the 7 parking spaces, you're increasing the ability for opening parking spots on the evening for other people, and that's just a good thing for the neighbors. And the fact that there's no neighbors here to complain about your project or the height, the overall height or any issues, I think it's a good project. It's a beautiful house, and the open space is amazing. So I vote yes.
Thank you.
Craig Palmisano?
Yes, once the changes were made to the parking, that swung it for me, and I approve.
Thank you.
Rich Tolson?
Mike, the couple easy questions I had were answered. The adjustments were made in the revisions. It's a great use of that open space in the backyard. You're preserving an older home, which is very welcome in town. The off-street parking is substantial, so I vote in favor.
Thank you.
Johanna Persky.
Just to echo what everyone else said, the creation of the parking spaces is going to be a tremendous asset to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Herb Bizagno.
I'm with everybody else, the additional parking and keeping the traditional home, I'm for.
Thank you.
Stephen Giesecke.
I think this is a benefit for the community to be able to get additional parking and by taking cars off the street. And for the exception about going up high, I think it well benefits for the improvements that you are doing to this. And so I approve.
Thank you.
And John Pitts.
The existing nonconformities are being reduced, building coverage is being reduced. My only challenge prior to tonight was the garage door setback, which resolved that problem. 3 parking spaces are required. You have 4 without the ones on the side. You could probably have a nice summer business renting those parking spaces on each block. I approve.
Motion carries 9 in favor and 0 opposed.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. Thank you.
You too. All right. Our next and last case is Brett Crotchman and Robin Cantor Crotchman, 364 North Rumson Avenue, Block 619, Lot 3.02, located in the S40 Waterfront Zoning District, seeking C variance relief for deck height deck side yard setback to pool equipment, total front yard landscape coverage, and potentially others in order to extend the rear decks into the side yards and install a swimming pool, as well as construct a ground level deck on the right side of the house. Current on taxes, water, and sewer payments, proof of advertising and notifications provided, represented by Eric Goldstein.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Goldstein on behalf of the applicants, Brett and Robin Kratchman. We're here tonight. I have a handout that I'd like to pass around because the photos are probably better than any sort of representative drawing because you're only seeing it flat and not 3D.
So is that a series of photos or just one?
There's 3 photos in each of the packets there. So
All right, I'll
there's
call
enough
them.
for everyone to go around, but that could be applicant 1 if you don't
Okay.
mind.
That was good, yeah. A1, thanks.
Did you want to do Roger's report first,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman? Okay.
Thank you, Board Chairman, Board members. The report is based on, I actually wrote this not 3 years ago or 2 years ago. I wrote it this year. Application of Brett and Robin Cantor Crotchman, 364 North Rumson Avenue, Block 619, Lot 3.02. As Eric mentioned, we're located in S40WF zoning district. Seeking C variance relief, planning and zoning report based and complete. Background is as follows. Variances are being requested for extending a raised rear yard deck to the side yard property line extended at a higher elevation than permitted. The house and deck were constructed as per the ordinance in 2017 and was part of a subdivision. Now several variances are being requested to construct a pool, reduce landscaping, and construct a higher deck than permitted on Sunset Canal. Now it's my understanding that that deck height may be modified as part of the presentation tonight. So page 2 is a zoning chart. Continue on page 3, as well as the documents reviewed and the plans reviewed. There's one plan, and I think it's in your plan set. It's a variance plan from Martha Ponzio. And the variance are requested as follows when the application was first made. Landscape coverage total, whereas 35% is the minimum required landscape coverage, 35% exists and 25% is proposed. Rear yard deck height on the left, looking from the street, whereas the maximum permitted deck height beyond the building side yard setbacks extended is 18 inches from grade, and 3.3 feet is proposed.
And just, Mr. McLarnon, to correct? You know, we've spoken a bunch of times today. 24 inches is proposed. So we have changed that plan in discussions with the neighbor who is actually here tonight. So I don't want the board to be misunderstanding the application. We're bringing it down substantially. 18 inches is allowed, and we're asking for 6 inches extra to be added to that.
Thank you. So the board members, that is still a variance, but it's a lesser degree, if you want to use that term. Rear yard deck height on the right, whereas the maximum permitted deck height, again, is 18 inches and 3.8 feet is proposed. Pool setback to the property line, whereas a minimum setback to the swimming pool to the property line, excluding the bulkhead line on waterfront properties, is 6 feet and 3 feet is proposed. Pool setback, equipment filter, side yard setback, whereas a minimum setback to the swimming pool equipment to the side property line is 10 feet and 7 feet is proposed. No waivers have been requested. Again, I provide the board some rear yard definitions and some other comments, but I will turn it over to the applicant to go over his testimony at this time.
Thank you, Mr. McLaren. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, what we have here is an existing house which has been built for a little less than 10 years, and the proposal is to extend the deck off the rear of the house into the side yard on both the left and the right, and the installation of a pool. With regard to the left side deck, initial proposal was to match up the height of the deck with the height of the rear deck. We were initially scheduled to come back last month, spoke quite a bit to the neighbor directly to the left, Ms. Dugan, and we've adjusted the deck downward where the stairs that you all see in your package on the first picture will be eliminated in their entirety. In place of the stairs, the deck, which you can see above, will be boxed out to take the space of the stairs. So we're actually not going to pick up any impervious coverage. What's there now will be exactly the same. Instead of the stairs going down, it's just going to be flat all the way across. On the left side, the decking material will be 24 inches maximum above the ground. The parking entrance is on the left. There's a garage with a parking spot in front. There's 2 other spots on the pad and the strips to the left. They will remain, and then the deck will be no more, again, than 24 inches above. With regard to the right side of the house, there is a pool proposed, an extension of that deck all the way to the property line on the right. The property owners who abut the property line on the right are also here. Back. They have gone over this project plan in depth as well, and they would like the plan approved as submitted. So with regard to some testimony, I will have Mr. Kratchman sworn in, and then I'm going to walk through each aspect of what we're seeking tonight. And there is, I believe, another property owner here to my left, Mr. Fybush, who had a question to have a glass railing installed on top of the deck to not block his view from his house, which the property owners have agreed to as well. So we think, hopefully, we've satisfied the neighbor's concerns. Now we have to satisfy all of your concerns. So come on up. Mr. Manos there.
Okay.
You want to ask you a few questions here?
Mr. Kratchman, just give us your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Brett Kratchman, 364 North Rumson, Margate City.
Okay, and please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you'll give will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Craftsman, of course, you were here when I was giving some background information about the property. And just before we get started with your testimony, is everything that I've said so far in your discussion with the neighbors and your initial design of the deck and then taking it down on the left side accurate?
Yes.
And is it accurate that you're going to put a glass rail along the fence that's raised up out of the ground so you're not going to block a view from a house across the street as well?
Yes.
Okay. Now, just briefly, if you could describe the plan as we're submitting it to the board with the decks along the back and the new pool, and just tell the board what you've asked for, and I'll kind of follow up with some additional questions.
Okay, so we wanted to extend the deck to the bulkhead and to the side neighbor, Jean and Nikki, and
And they're the house on the corner on the very edge of...
on the very edge.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
And that's on the canal and the open bay?
Yes.
And yours is one in from them?
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And then to the left side, the Jan Dugan, we wanted to get rid of the stairs and just have a lower deck that hopefully meets her needs, and it's pretty much what we wanted to do.
So the design as submitted has been changed. It's lower on the left. On the right, the railing is going to have glass around it, but it still does need variances. And presently, and everybody has this in your package, which I believe is the third page, the deck in the back, which was built legally at the time, extends past the outbox of the house. So as you know, if it's raised up 18 inches or more out of the ground, it has to be lined up only with the house. So just so everyone's aware, this was designed, approved, and built correctly. It was built under the old ordinance, which let you go out further into the side setback. The ask tonight is to have this extended out further towards the Rosardino Stamps house, and to have the glass railings put around up top, and then a pool, which would be in the side setback as well. So it's with a pool in the side setback, along with the rail and deck height, which are also to stop at the house. Since it's already been built, we're just extending out that a little further, about 6 feet closer to the next house. So on the left side of the property, the variance is the 6 inches over and above what is otherwise allowed, being 18 inches, to be in the side setback. And again, the stairs and everything on the left side of the house, which extends out a little bit further, was all built per permit and without any need from variances back in 2017, as stated by Mr. McClung. So what we're really looking for now is the variances, as Roger indicated. It's the pool equipment location, the distance from the pool to the fence. It is still 3 feet, gives enough separation for emergency personnel. And it's the location of the pool equipment and landscaping. The landscaping goes down a little bit by the pool going into the side setback. We looked at a couple of options to pick up some additional landscaping. Unfortunately, the concrete on the left side of the house is already stripped, so we thought about doing some sort of pervious pavers, which might pick up a couple of extra percentage of landscaping there, but probably nothing appreciable. I defer to Roger if he has some ideas on what to do with those strips, but it's already grass in the middle, grass on the side closest to the house, but concrete, of course, for a car to drive down. And then the garage area in front is a little bit of concrete, and there's also grass there as well. So, Roger, if you have ideas how we can get any more landscaping out of that, we would certainly try to figure it out. I just don't know if replacing the current strips with pervious pavers would give us enough of a credit there. It seems kind of minimal.
Don't build the deck.
Well, that's one way, of course, right. But short of that, we don't think there's any place we can get the landscaping on the property. We are going to put...
Maybe the pool equipment, you can pick up a couple, you put that on the deck somewhere, so you're not...
So the stairs on the left hand, where you're showing the new steps and landing, is that staying or is that going?
On the left side, the stairs that are there now are going.
Right, but I mean, on the plan, it says new steps and landing.
That's going, yeah, that's
That's
part of
going?
it. Yeah, that's going.
So there's not gonna be any steps to get up, or what? just
Not
like
on
a
that
small- Not on that side?
Correct.
Right, so you're getting rid of some space there.
Yeah,
So you're not gonna have any steps getting to the deck?
you will, but not from there.
Where's the access
Where-
to the deck from not in the house?
We've got,
There's going to be smaller steps on this side.
I'm sorry, it's below,
Yeah.
right at 18 inches. There are going to be small steps there, not in front, but on the side.
Right, so you could basically get up 2 steps to get you up to
Yeah.
the 2-foot area.
Correct.
Right, okay.
And where's the steps to the rest of it?
Huh?
Where's the steps to the rest of it?
Can't get up to the other side.
I guess there isn't any.
2 steps here.
I mean, so the only way you're gonna be able to access that deck is gonna be on that left side with 2 small
No,
steps?
there's access, just walk around on the other side. There's no steps, but through the house,
Through the house?
and then on the other
So
side.
emergency personnel have to go through the house to get to the deck?
No, there's access on the other side. There's just no steps
Well, how do we get up
There's a
there?
lower deck and an upper deck.
How do you
I-
get access?
There's going to be steps down on the deck in the middle from the house going down to the
Almost
boat
like a
slip.
terrace deck, is what you're saying.
Say it again?
Like it's terraced,
Yes.
the deck.
So where,
There is going to be a set of small steps on the left.
Right.
To get up to, there's 2 steps up to the deck, that's 24 inches high, and then from there, there's 3 steps up to the next.
okay, so we will have access?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I misspoke on that.
Is there anything on that deck, that 24-inch deck? Is there anything there? And does that go to the property line?
That would go to the property line, yeah.
And what is the neighbor's height of the her deck?
We think 3 foot 4.
3 foot, and you're gonna be 3'3".
No, we're gonna be at 2 feet on that side.
So it's going to be below?
Yes, that was what we had compromised with the neighbor, Ms. Dugan, that her deck, 3 feet 4 inches, we're gonna be 2 feet higher there. So she'll be higher than the Cratchman deck on that side.
Okay. So Roger, you know how we require the 3 feet around?
Right.
So is that required at the bulkhead side too?
No, because they're allowed to be up to the bulkhead.
Right. So, so the other variance, which we're pretty strict about, is the 6-foot setbacks. Okay? So, number one, is there any reason that we can't push that pool to the bulkhead? Or at least,
Well, that 3 foot's to the outside of that bulkhead.
huh?
That 3 foot is to the outside of that.
Oh, it
bulkhead.
is?
Yes.
Okay. So, they couldn't,
You can move it a foot maybe at tops.
a foot? Okay. And was there any consideration with the pool about just spinning it? You know what I mean?
Yes,
Probably.
there was, and we're trying to figure that out, Mr. Chairman, about getting the additional space on the right side. If you just,
Because you do have a little bit of a benefit.
Yeah, 90 degrees and slide it over.
So if they did that, they'd be in better shape, right?
Yeah, then you put the pool equipment right here.
Right.
And you free up the landscape.
Right.
And where do you put the pool?
We're talking about going like this.
So you move it
Yeah,
inside 6 feet.
move it into the, yeah. Huh?
Mr. Chairman, I talked to the designer of the pool, who also is the neighbor, who's going to talk in a few minutes. Yeah, we can pick up some space there to make the pool a foot smaller on that side and move it a foot towards the rear. That'll give us 5 feet of separation on the right side. Yeah.
So you're gonna make the pool a foot smaller?
Yeah,
How big's the pool now? Oh, 8 by 12.
8 by 12,
So what are you gonna make it?
7 by 12.
7 by 12.
And we're going to push it back a foot, and as the property goes on the angle there, we'll pick up a foot, so there'll be 5 feet of separation between the property line and the pool.
Okay.
Why can't it slide towards the house another foot?
Because then we'd be too close to the next vertical structure, which would be a different variance.
It shows 4 feet on that, on the drawing. Does it not, Mike? On the corner, the left corner of the pool shows 4 feet to
Well,
the,
you know, theoretically, I'm thinking now, you got that second floor deck, so theoretically, that's considered, right, Roger? The 3-foot thing. If you got the,
Right.
right? There's like probably a column there, right? Holding up that second floor deck, so, you follow me, Craig?
On the
Yes.
corner,
Yeah, yeah.
on that.
So we have this thing where, you know, for safety, we went 3 foot around the pool. And we also, in that, we also include a column. Okay, so even though that's all open under there, there's a column there that's gonna be, you know, 3 foot, we're gonna call that out. Okay? Right.
Okay.
So So what, the pool, getting back to the pool equipment, which is another variance, I mean, why, is there a reason, why we're, for this deck area here, what's the reason for that on the right-hand side? Is there, you know, you follow me? Like, why couldn't we take the pool equipment, I don't have a scale on me, and how wide is, who, is the pool guy here?
No, the pool equipment platform is 3 feet wide.
3 foot wide. Is that what you need? I mean, I don't, you know, I build houses, you pretty much have to have 3 feet.
Yeah, I would say
All right.
2.5.
Is there any, on that right side there, is there any window or anything?
Where the pool equipment is?
No, where that deck comes out.
No.
There's no
Second
window?
floor.
So was there any thought about maybe using up that section, like, are you catching my drift
Yeah,
there?
I understand, Mr. Richmond.
Yeah, because then, you know, that helps eliminate more of the impervious coverage. I'm assuming the new deck's all gonna be the open, right,
Correct.
spacing? It's not gonna be concrete or pave or anything like that. Right. So if we spin the pool, then the setback for the pool goes from 3 foot to 5 foot. If we could, you know, if we could think about putting the pool equipment there, which to me, I don't even know, I mean, I don't live there, but,
So, yeah, and then what we were thinking about before, but this is a question more for Roger. Could we put, we've done this in the past, could we put the pool equipment under the deck? If it were up off the ground, I know it's still a BFE issue, but is there a way to do it under the deck? Then it's out of the setback, it's out of the way, and we did one on Dolphin like that, but,
Well, if it's out of the building envelope, it does not qualify under NFIP, so it's not insured equipment. And as long as it doesn't show up on the certificate, flood elevation certificate erroneously, I don't see that being, I think you'd want it out of harm's way.
well, we
Tight.
would, but think about it, if the water is that far out, you know, we'd be 2 feet up basically off of Rumson, which would be several feet out of the canal, but that would eliminate the variance because it would be out of the setback and it would be tucked away where no one would see it. It would be wrapped in a sound attenuating fence and nobody would hear it. So that's certainly an option as
so
well.
where are you saying to put it? Eric?
Under the deck.
Under the deck. Okay, and that'd be okay with ventilation and everything? Which deck are you talking about? Under the first floor deck or the second floor?
Under the first floor on the right side.
Right.
And it would be out of the setback there too.
I think
Roger, you can put the heater under there?
That could be an issue with, because that's enclosed space.
I think you got a problem with a heater.
If you could find a way to put it on top of that new deck on that same side, I think that would be a home run for you. And also, I think you can get credit for the steps in the front towards that landscape coverage.
Okay.
Because you're at 35%, you're allowed to go 30% with steps to get to the first floor.
So where do you think the pool equipment, because we want to be amenable, of course, that pool equipment affects the one neighbor who's here to talk about it, but we know we have to satisfy the board as well. So if the pool equipment's not on the platform and it's not underneath, I guess we could move it back a little bit, but it would still be the same size platform there.
Well, no, what we're talking about, my idea is, on the right-hand side, you have the deck extension.
Okay?
Right here, right?
Right, exactly. So, I don't know what the width of that is, but if you still have plenty of room to, I mean, on that right-hand side, you're not gonna have any stairs to get up there? Like, it's 3 feet.
Correct.
You're not gonna have any stair to
No,
get up
that's
there.
going to be the access back towards the deck.
Well, what are you gonna do back there? What are you gonna use that deck back there for?
Just seating around the pool?
Okay. So, what I'm saying is that deck is, you know, that's a pretty decent-sized space there, so, and especially since you're talking about moving the pool around, you know, in my opinion, if you put that pool equipment on that corner of the deck, do you follow where I'm talking
Okay.
about? Then that would be, you know, that would help out a lot of things. Because, you know, another thing we're not big on is taking away pervious coverage.
I know.
Well, there's another point of view that this house was built too big to have all these additions. It never would have been approved initially. This was a spec house, or was this built?
No, it was built for the owners.
Right, and it was maxed out, and now you wouldn't have gotten these things.
Well, it was,
When you're building a brand-new house, you wouldn't have gotten, and it's, what's it, 6 years old, 7 years old?
8 years old.
8 years old, whatever. I mean, it's a relatively new house. And it's too big for what you're asking for.
In what way, Mr. Patterson?
In what way is you wouldn't get a pool, you wouldn't get decks going to the side, under today's rules. You wouldn't get a pool.
But where the pool's gonna comply with
The house would
the,
have had to been smaller. The pool's not gonna comply. It's 5 feet from the side.
no, we're gonna make the pool comply with the exception of 5 feet. So you're gonna have 1 foot variance for the
The
pool.
pool doesn't comply, the landscaping doesn't comply, the setbacks don't comply. I mean, it's a relatively new house, 8 years old. You wouldn't have gotten it when you built it, and I think it's too big for what you're asking.
Well,
There
I
was a
will
reason
just,
we changed the rules with the deck. When we approve a variance, the variance is for the property. It's not for the people. It's not for the neighbors. It's for the property. And we had problems with decks going at 3 feet or 4 foot high, going right up to the property line, with neighbors violently complaining about it. Now, you happen to have a neighbor here that says it's okay, but we're approving this for the property. The neighbor sells, the next neighbor has a deck there. So I just think you're asking too much.
but again, explain why.
I just did.
But the pool itself can comply. Let's assume that it can. It can. You're shaking your head no. The pool can comply, okay?
It could if the house was smaller.
Okay, so if the pool complies, that's eliminated. The side deck on the left side is 6 inches higher than allowed, but 1.5 feet lower than the neighbor's deck. So we're really talking about the percentage landscape coverage, which we're picking up substantially if we can get the step credit, and we can get rid of a little bit of the deck. So we're almost 100% compliant. So it's not really that far out of whack here.
Okay.
And when the house was built, you could have gone side to side with the deck.
Right, and there was a reason we changed it. So today we're talking about today's rules.
Right, but you said when the house was built, this
I
could
did,
not
I
be
said
done.
except for the deck, and there was a reason why we changed it. I explained that too.
Roger, can I ask a question for you, and maybe you have the answer? If they were to consider the permeable pavers with the grass on the strips that are there and in the front strip, how much credit would that give them toward the landscaping?
It's the percentage of opening in the concrete block that's open. I know the neighbor next door actually did that in their driveway. They had to open cell concrete.
But I'm saying, if they did that to both the driveway in front of the garage and the driveway length, would that get a substantial percentage increase to make that landscape a little
It
closer?
depends on the material used. If it's like 30% opening, you multiply that by the area, and that's what you would gain.
Okay. Is that something you would consider?
Yes.
Perfect example of that is that house that they just built on Bayshore Drive.
Yeah, right off
Drive.
of Huntington.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I know that driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, my question to you, would you consider doing that for those areas to increase the coverage
Of course.
for the landscape?
Okay, I guess it's the variance for the big thing here, which is the decking and the pool. Then, of course, we're going to try to give back something to the city. And we know it's not just about the neighbors, and we know people can sell the homes. But before we make a decision based upon a fact that may not be correct, we should flesh all of those issues out, because you may think the house is too big or that they got too much at one point, but this is really just about compliance. So we want to try to make it comply as much as possible.
Right, so let's get back to the pool equipment.
All right. So if the pool equipment can't go underneath the deck, which, again, I'm not sure why it couldn't, because we've seen this, I've seen it done before where the pool equipment's either under the stairs or under the deck. What would stop that from being put under an exterior set of stairs or a deck?
Well, I guess that might be more of a building thing than a zoning thing.
I think you're going to be dealing with a ventilation issue.
Yeah.
Right.
When it's been under steps before, like you and I talked about, we worked together on Sumner, I think it was.
Sumner and Dolphin.
Right. it was open on the one side, the steps and the deck. This is, you're putting it in harm's way, plus access, I think. I'd like to avoid that. But I think there's room in that deck where you can elevate it up and, although it looks like there's some type of vent there.
This photo is showing access in the current.
I see that, Roger.
Correct, yeah.
So access could be addressed. And
We-
this deck is being proposed to be extended.
Correct.
So some of the underneath part of that new deck could be constructed in a way that allows for ventilation.
Yes.
Not be closed off at all.
Correct.
Just as thought.
Yes.
to consider.
So if we, right now, the deck has that skirt on it, which is solid, so if you remove that and get rid of the door, get rid of all that stuff and left it open, I mean, again, I'm not a pool expert and I'm not a code expert, but that would probably give you enough ventilation.
I think it would as well. And I'm sure that can be designed in a way that is open where the exhaust would be, so it wouldn't be in harm's way. But we'd have to work with construction to make sure that the correct ventilation was available down there, but it certainly can work.
Okay, so are we gonna get rid of the pool equipment variance?
I would say they would still might not meet that 10-foot side yard setback.
Oh, really?
Right. Depends under the deck where it's gonna be under the deck.
Well, we'd probably put it as close to the,
To the entrance, right?
yeah.
So you have access.
So if you're looking at the plan, it would be close to the line that goes perpendicular to the
I
property.
mean, my thought for moving it was to gain landscape space,
Well, that would pick up
like 18
Okay.
square
3
feet.
by 5.
right,
That might
right.
make it, that plus the
Right.
We'll give you that
step
10%.
deduction and
Right.
the pavers would probably get us to being compliant with landscaping, yeah.
I would say keep the side yard setback
I
to the
think I
variance
agree.
to the pool equipment, but just a new location.
Okay.
You won't get that 10-foot setback.
Right.
Yeah, to the outside edge of it, you're probably right.
Just to clarify, if you were to consider putting it underneath of the deck, you would need building, fire, and plumbing approval. When I say fire subcode, because you're talking about a ventilation issue and you're talking about, location. Because, it's gonna probably be a heater?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're talking about a couple factors there that are gonna include all aspects of the building department as far as approval. Not saying it can't be done.
Well, they put them in garages, so they can vent it.
Yeah, okay.
But those approvals will still be needed.
Yeah, we would agree with that, Chief.
Yeah, so moving forward, if you get rid of that, you still keep the setback variance, but you put it underneath the deck, got to realize that when you go to get your permit, might not fly. So then you're going to have to, the only other thing I see you could do is what Roger and I were talking about, is set it on top of that deck in that corner. You follow me?
I do. I would say if it doesn't work by way of the subcode officials, then we would have to either have it be compliant or come back for that one issue.
Right.
But I think we could figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
we-
honestly, I think that from doing some pool equipment, I don't think there'll be a code issue. I don't think there will be, but we'll find out.
All right. So if the pool platform for the equipment isn't there, that's a 5x3 pickup in landscaping, plus the stair deduction, plus if we did the pavers, I think at that point, we're pretty close, maybe even over on landscape. We're obviously over on front yard landscape, so that would be eliminated as well.
Okay. And then getting back to the pool now, so you're saying that you're still going to seek a 1-foot variance for the pool, or are you going to try to do it so that we don't need that?
Well,
Like-
as you know, we have a pole on the one side of the pool that makes it hard for circulation. So we can move the pool over a foot and then shrink it a foot, which gives us 5 feet from that corner.
Okay, so you're still gonna keep it like that?
Yes.
But you're gonna make it thinner and push it up?
Correct. Now, if we could move it a foot closer to the house, which might eliminate the pool variance altogether, it would be a little bit of a tight squeeze because there is a post there.
Right.
But, we can make the pool work. If you denied the pool variance, we could figure out a way to make it work. We would like to be 5 feet from the line on the right side.
Okay.
So if you deny that, we're still going to build a pool. It would just be 1 foot to the left or 1 foot smaller. That's the board's pleasure, of course.
And that's saying that we're still building the deck out to the lot line.
Correct.
I'm having trouble seeing, the benefit to Margate, if we're building out the lot lines, we're, taking out access to the bay, we're taking out landscaping, if we want to build so far to the lot lines, where's the benefit to the town, to the city?
Well, you're maintaining light, air, and open space because it's still relatively low. The bushes and trees that are in front of that anyway wouldn't be any different from the deck being up that high because there's not public access to the bay. There's no view corridor that would otherwise be blocked.
There is. Sam asked that question just before I did, just before I wanted to. In the picture on the right side of the house, what do we have, 6 foot? If you look at the picture on the right side of the house, there's a 6 foot opening of grass all the way to the bay. Is that
Right.
correct, 6 foot?
Yeah.
And you want to cut that off and bring the deck all the way over to the property line, looming over the other property. That's my point. If I lived next door, I don't think I would like that.
Well, the next door neighbors are going to tell you they do like
Oh,
it.
well, they might be, here,
God
yeah.
forbid they change their minds.
That's right, and they could sell the house, and the next neighbor wouldn't like it either. But it's air and light and open space right now, and you're gonna get rid of that.
There's no public access from the street to the bay.
That's correct, there's no public
It's a
access.
private yard. So they could block it off with a fence, they could block it off with a locked fence, they could block it off with landscaping, they can block it off with any number of things, and there's nothing the board or anybody else in the city could do about it. So in that regard, all you're doing is you're letting the property owners enjoy their property out to the side yard. This isn't an access for ingress and egress for the traveling public at all.
Fair statement, but think about emergency, being in the Coast Guard. I mean, if I live across the bay and my kid falls in the water and starts drowning, the Coast Guard comes in, and there needs to be emergency access to evacuate some type of casualty, you name it. I'm going to have a problem, if I need to get through there. Yeah, we can go over fences and everything, but now if there's an entire barricading, in being built a deck, I mean, I think that's too much for me.
The neighbor across the bay.
Across the street. Is going to look through, so they've said
It's gonna be
top
glass.
rail will be glass.
You lose this point.
Yeah.
What's the easiest one?
That's emergency access. It's not public funds, but of course, same, yeah.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that.
I think it's a deck too far.
still on, right?
Based on the old, they want to make it bigger.
Because there's no substantial benefit.
Um,
I mean, they're under substantial benefit.
Okay.
See,
So-
see 5 minutes? There's
We're having a consultation, or? All right, we're gonna take a 5-minute break.
Thank you. It was good to take the break. We did make some concessions here, and obviously taking all the board's comments into consideration, have decided at least to propose the following, which probably gives us no more need for a landscape variance. In the picture you have, the right side of the house deck will not go out to the property line. It will be 3 feet of separation from the property line to the deck, which I believe is enough for emergency personnel. And I believe with that, plus the,
Wait, Eric, how much is it now?
3 feet.
now it would be 0,
No, no, no. It's in the picture.
6 feet.
So you cut that in half?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm going to ask Roger to calculate it, but maybe we should ask for it anyway. But I think at that point, we do comply with total landscaping because we're not losing all that on the side. And we still have the step deduction and possibility, if we need to go to pervious pavers. But since it's not going all the way out, that's going to save us a fair amount of grass on that side.
How far out is it now, do you know?
6.
And you're going
3.
3.
another 3?
Yeah. So they're,
It's 6
Same
foot
height?
from the fence.
It's 6 foot from the fence to
How
the
far
deck.
is it from the house line?
I don't understand, Mr. Tolson.
How
How far out is it from the house?
I probably could look at it.
You know what? I don't have that calculation from Ponzio.
Okay.
11.5
Okay.
from the house to the on the corner. 11.5.
And then the pool variance would still be a foot. It'll still be 5 feet from the property line, but it would be, again, we can make the pool work. It's just we still ask for the pool variance, perhaps as a separate vote, but we can make it work if need be. We'd like it to be 5 feet because it'll still be significantly far from the neighbor's property, but we understand 6 is your code section.
So then you would need a clearance variance for the
From the railing of the pool, probably, yeah.
2 foot where 3 foot's needed.
Yeah. We can't move it too much further to the left because there's a post there that prevents it from being shifted too far to the left.
That's because of the second floor deck, correct?
Yeah, the post that holds it up. And again, the ordinance is, it's any vertical structure, so we have to be 3 feet from a vertical structure with the pool.
So you'd ask for a separate vote for the pool, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so can we just put all this, oh, all right, I'm sorry. So does anybody else from the board have anything to say? Any other questions? Because Leo's going to kind of explain, what we're talking about. the
Yeah, and we
changes
still have to
all
go to
that.
the public and stuff like that.
Right, right.
Is that staying?
What are we doing with the pool equipment platform?
Look, I think the solution is figuring out a place to put it under the deck, and if not, and we can't make it work, we'll either put it somewhere else or come back for a variance.
Okay,
I mean, I think that, and the question becomes, though, the pool equipment variance is from the distance of the property line, but it also took up landscaping. With the landscaping being added out, with the 3 feet of extra landscaping on that side,
Right.
would the board consider the pool equipment variance?
well, either way, you're going to go for a pool, you're going to go for the variance for the setback, because even if you put it under the deck, you're still going to
Right.
have it. So, yeah, okay. Okay, and then, what else? You want to open it up to the public, or?
Yeah, it's good enough. I just want to reserve the right to come back and
Right, yeah, no
clean
problem.
it up, because we
No problem.
made a lot of changes. I want to make sure we're all in
Okay.
agreement.
Anybody from the public like to speak?
I would just like to.
Yeah, you gotta come up.
Come up.
Statement. So,
You gotta get
Just
sworn in.
just give us your name and address, and I'll swear you in.
It's right there.
Nicole Stamps, 366 North Rumson. I'm the neighbor to the right.
Okay, Ms. Sams, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
when you look at the photos of the sort of side yard that abuts to our property where we have that low fence, the way that our house is oriented, all of our outdoor living space is on the open bay side, not on the Sunset Canal side. So in their quest to try to maximize their deck to their property line, really has no impact on us, because where our lower fence is, will always be open space to the bay. Our house is oriented in an opposite direction, so I understand the quest for wanting that access to the bay, but I think that there needs to be some understanding that from their property line over to our structure will always be open access, because just the way our house is oriented, we're oriented towards the marsh. So this will never be usable space for us,
Right.
if that has an impact on your decision about them going to their side yard setback on our side of it.
That's this picture, right?
Yeah, so where our lower fence is, again, like,
Right.
that's not a usable part of our property. None of our decks feed down into it, it's just auxiliary, landscaping, decorative. So even if they built to their property line, there will still be open access to the lagoon on our side of that property.
That might not last forever.
Yeah.
I mean, can I read a definition of rear yard? A space extending across the full width of a lot between the principal building and the rear lot line and measured perpendicular to the building at its closest point to the rear lot line. Said rear yard shall be unoccupied and unobstructed from the ground upward, except as may be permitted elsewhere in this chapter.
So it's a
Unobstructed,
variance.
unoccupied.
Listen, we just love the project. We would love it for our neighbors, we love the plan, we would love to see it come to fruition. So I'm just here as an advocate for my neighbors in their quest to improve upon their backyard.
Thank
for
you.
Their family.
I appreciate that. Anyone else from the public? Okay, public portion's closed. Eric?
All right, so we do have a lot of modifications, so I just want to make sure the board is seeing everything the same way that we've been discussing. And Roger, I'm going to ask for some help here on the calculation. If the existing side yard in the right structure has 3 feet of separation between it and the Rosadino property next door, that gives us back a significant amount. I think it gives us back 3 times 20, about 60 square feet of landscaping on that side. I think it's 20 feet deep times 3 wide. So that's an improvement. I don't know what the stair deduct gets us, because that may mean we don't need the landscape variance. And as far as the pool equipment goes, if that platform's 15 feet being eliminated, then we've got the 60 plus 15, so 75 feet of landscaping. Where does that put us on? Yeah, the proposed is 25, where 35 was existing. That gets us pretty close, I think.
Well, plus if you put those pavers in with the holes in.
Yeah, I mean, that gets us over.
Well, why don't you just say you'll comply?
Because in case we're short, I don't want to not ask for the variance.
Well, yeah, I mean, my suggestion would be if you're short, then you would have to put the pavers in, but if you put the pavers in, you're still short, that's going to be a problem.
Right, that's why we want to make sure we're going to be pretty close.
Okay. All right, so,
So I just want to make sure, I guess we would ask for the variance if necessary. Like Leo said, if we're short, we can do the pavers on the strips. If we're still short, then we need a variance. So I would say we're going to certainly attempt to comply, but Roger can check on that. We may not need it. Then as far as the left side goes, we do need a 6-inch variance for deck height to be at 24 and not 18. That still has an open area for access on the left. There's nothing that would be blocking the access at all on that side. On the right side, we need the variance for the separation of 3 feet from the neighbor's property to the deck, which would be over 18 inches high. And then we also need it for pool location. We don't need it for the elevated pool equipment platform. And Mr. Feibush, who we've spoken to, we did make a representation, I'll put on the record, that the railing around the pool will be glass, so it won't be anything to obstruct his view. And anything else, Lori? Jan? We've got nice neighbors, all of whom are cooperating here, so,
Eric, what's the pool setback again?
the pool setback, 5 is what we're proposing.
On this, right now, you're proposing 5.
Yeah, 6 can work. A little bit difficult in the backyard, but we'd like it to be at 5.
So you're asking for 5.
We're asking for 5.
Separate vote?
I would like a separate vote on the pool, yeah.
You still need a variance with all that.
What?
You still need a landscape variance.
Okay, how close is it there with,
You're still about 85 square feet off,
how many?
about 85
We
square
can
feet.
pick that up with the strips, that's good. All right, so we'll ask for the variance, and if we don't get it, then we'll put the strips in and we'll comply. Sure.
was actually raised by my colleague here, and as we look at it. The deck is being reduced by 3 foot.
Correct.
How close to the edge of the deck is the pool going
Well,
to be?
it would be 2 feet from the edge on that side, which is a variance if there's a vertical structure next to it. Question is that railing as a glass railing, because remember, the purpose of the 3-foot separation is so that there's nothing, people jumping in or falling into the pool.
Or
There's
have
no
access.
chance of that happening because you're going to be raised up out of the ground.
I don't know if that answers.
Well, wait a minute. The pool's gonna be 2 feet from the fence?
From
the railing.
From the railing, I mean.
It's 3 foot further back from what it was.
The 3 feet around the pool wasn't for jumping in. The 3 feet around the pool was for access to get somebody that's drowning.
Correct. But that would assume that the pool is at ground level. You're talking about, what are you shaking your head
It
for?
doesn't assume the pool is at ground level.
That's,
It's people walking around the pool, somebody's gonna fall in. Now we don't have any clearance on that side of the pool.
you've got 2 feet of clearance out of the ground. I don't understand how that's a problem.
That's height. You're talking height.
Yes,
No,
We're talking width.
talking the width from the pool to the
I
railing.
understand that. Please clearly explain your concerns about that distance from a glass railing to the pool that's already out of the ground.
The same reason it's 3 feet from the house. We determined, we're not experts, but this is what was determined when we made the rule, was you would have 3 feet of space around for rescuers to have easy access around the pool.
Utilizing 3 feet.
We'll make that work and eliminate it so you can stop shaking your heads, okay?
Mr. Chairman, we got just a ton of unanswered questions, ifs, maybes. I really think you guys need to take this back.
No, we don't. There's no unanswered questions. We've answered every question. If you don't like it, you can vote no. But you can't put this off because you don't understand the application.
We're not gonna put it off.
Okay.
Okay, so Leo's gonna describe what we're gonna vote for, and then we're gonna vote.
But let's be clear here. There aren't everything you had a question on is answered. What is unclear about this application? We have a right to know what you think is unclear about it, because you're making a decision on their property.
Well, I think think that, Eric, let's let Leo kind of outline what we're talking about. And then if somebody has a question on the board, we can talk about it some more. How's that? Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right, so it's a C variance application. For the landscape, without the permeable pavers, the variances are for total landscaping coverage. You're about 85 square feet short, it sounds like, per Roger's calculations. Is that correct?
But that was without the pavers, right, Roger?
Yes.
That's for the,
That does sound correct.
okay, so without doing the grass pavers, we're 85.
And you're
Square feet.
asking for that variance?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
because we know if you say no, we can make it work, so.
Right.
We would like the variance and not to tear everything up, but
Okay.
if not, we can make that work.
So maybe we should put that separate. Well, let's summarize them, just in case. I don't want your whole application
Sure.
to go down over something that you can make comply.
Roger, percentage-wise, what does that bring us up to?
I'm around 27.7%.
Thank you.
Okay.
If you get rid of that deck expansion on the left, you gain 60 square feet.
All right, the rear deck height on the left side, 18 inches is allowed. They've reduced that to 2 feet, 24 inches.
Correct.
The rear deck height on the right side, it's also 18 inches is permitted. That's going to be at 3.8 feet over the 18 inches, and it's going to have a 3-foot side yard setback per the testimony, and I'll note that as a condition. The pool equipment variance, you're going to make that work through the building department, or you're going to come?
No, the pool equipment
staying
location
where it
will
is.
still be a variance.
Okay.
The placement of it will eliminate
Right.
portion of the landscape variance, but we do need it, because it won't meet,
But you're going to relocate it?
Correct.
I got you, but it's still a 7, the side yard
Won't be
setback,
less than 7.
it won't be less than 7, so right. So you need at least a 3-foot variance on the pool equipment setback.
Right.
Or no more than a
Can
3-foot.
we go back to the landscape a second? I don't understand why you're not doing the pavers. We can give you the variance based on doing the pavers that might be short, and we'll give you that variance.
yeah, if we have, so we're.
But you just said you're not going to do it,
No, we said.
unless we turn you down.
We said we can comply with code if you turn us down. We're asking for the variance.
Yeah, but you got other variances included in your question here. You want the whole thing turned down because of that?
No, we said if we lose the, I don't understand your question, Mr. Patterson.
My question is, you're 85 foot short without the paver allowance. So why don't you commit to doing the pavers, and we'll give you a variance if that's short.
Okay, yeah, I get it, fine. Yeah,
I think what you said was you weren't going to do it unless we turned you down, and that's
that was
unacceptable.
stated incorrectly. So
Okay.
You stated it better than I.
Got it, thank you.
Yeah, so we're good on that.
Okay. And then with the,
Did you get that?
I did. And I will go back over it if we need to. And then as far as the pool setback, you're going to ask for 5 feet, but you think you can make the 3 feet, the 3-foot requirement to the railing comply?
Yes.
You sure? Okay, I just,
No, I'm not sure, but I
Right.
don't think that the way the board has looked at this case, we're going to get that. So we're going to comply with that, because I don't think that variance is gettable right now.
and then as far as the conditions, I sort of stated them as I was summarizing the variances, but I'll also note that the pool will have the clear railings to satisfy the neighbors. So if there's no further discussion, I think we should take 2 votes, put the pool separate, Eric? Or what's your preference?
Yeah, I think the pool should be separate. But I just want to go over and summarize again. What would be included in the vote, we're going to do 2. The pool by itself, we're not asking for the separation of the pool to a vertical structure. That'll comply with 3 feet from any vertical structures. We're just asking for the pool to be 5 feet from the property line I will note as well that it's only 5 feet at the property line from the tightest corner there. Everywhere else is further as you go back on the angle. As you go back on the angle further back, it's up to 7 feet back. So you're talking about one area, because the property line's angular on that side. It's not the entire run of the pool there. So that's something we would like the board to consider, that you're talking corner to corner, which is the shortest distance there. So that's the pool. With regard to landscape coverage, we'll do the pavers. And then the other thing would just be the deck height into the setback with 3 feet of separation. So, yeah, we want the pool to be separate and the other two to go in together.
And you get, look, I have no problem if you ask for, when we get to the pool part, ask for the setback variance for the 5 feet. And depending on how it goes, then you can ask for the 2 feet as you described it, as opposed to the 3 feet. Because they are separate variances. It's your application, so I'm just throwing that out there. But I think the first vote should be the following. They're going to do the pavers in the front. But if they're still short in the 35% landscape coverage, and they'll provide a calculation to Roger. And if he's satisfied that they've done what they said in terms of the pavers and creating the landscaping that they said that they would create, if he still falls short of 35%, without the pavers, Roger calculates they're at about 27.7%. So they're going to get close, certainly closer to 30. They're going to get above that. But they may still be short of the 35%, so that would be the...
And as a condition, we'd agree to utilize the paver deduct first. So if we don't get there, then we'll have to use the variance. Meaning, like Rich said, use the pavers, try to get as low as possible. If we can, then we're good. If not, then we need the variance. So that's fair.
Okay, so that's the first variance. Then there's the rear deck height on the left side to 24 inches, where 18 inches is permitted. The rear deck on the right side is at 3.8 feet, where 18 is permitted, but there's gonna be a 3-foot separation from the edge of the deck to the property line. The deck's gonna have clear railings as a condition. And then the pool equipment setback, 7 feet's proposed, where 10 feet's the requirement. They can provide greater than 7 feet, but 6.9 feet won't fly, so 7, 8, or 9. But they are going to relocate that equipment to a different location, so they'll pick up more landscaping there, and they'll have to work that out with the construction office. So those, and then again, I'll note the clear railings on the pool. The other conditions will be anything else we discussed tonight. And this is putting aside the pool for now, the pool variances for now, and the standard conditions we put in every other resolution. So I think that would be the first vote. Second, roll call vote. And then depending on how that goes, we'll deal with the swimming pool itself.
And just to be clear, on the height of the deck in the back, it's going to match what's in this picture.
Right, yes.
But it'll be glass railings.
But with
It'll
glass
match
railings.
It'll match the picture with glass railings.
Match existing height.
Yeah, and that's what...
3-foot separation glass
Right.
railings on the
And
right.
then on the left side, it will be lower, and it will...
Basically be where those stairs are.
It'll be where these stairs are. They'll be eliminated, and the deck will be boxed up, and it'll be 24 inches, not higher. Correct. So that's that.
All right?
Right.
So we're not talking about the swimming pool right now, just...
Or
as
the
a
right
variance.
side. So, sorry, we are talking about the right side. You're right, correct. Right. Not the pool, everything other than the pool.
For clarification, this is the left side
Yeah.
of the property. This is going to go to the property line, or it's at...
No.
No.
At 2 feet above.
Okay.
2 foot.
Yeah, much
foot
lower.
there.
All right, thank you.
Not that height, it's going to be 2 foot.
Lower, but
So
not
it'll
the...
be lower than the neighbor's deck, and it'll be open.
And it will be open.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's stairs from the lower deck to the upper deck.
Correct.
Would you say 2 steps up and then 3 steps up,
Right.
correct?
2 steps to get to 24, 2 steps we discussed.
More than 3.
More than 3?
Yeah, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 7 steps.
Well, you've got 2 steps to the deck, and the deck would be a platform, then you
Right,
have
and then
3
5
others.
steps to the top.
Just the property line
I think it's 3 more up,
Well, you got 7 steps now.
I don't know where the,
but there's no deck landing there. The deck would act as a landing.
Yeah, you take 3 steps off,
Not anymore.
whatever.
The left side, the deck is not going out to the property line?
The left side of the deck is
Deck
going
is,
out
but
to
it's
the property
24
line,
inches
but it's going to be 24 inches high.
This is it. to the property line.
No,
No,
no.
it's open, you still have,
No, it's wide open.
it's wide open, there's no railing, nothing on it, correct?
Correct.
This house they lost in
The
Sydney.
the left side of the property won't have any,
So
That's on average.
it's going to be lower than the neighbors. It's gonna go out straight to the back.
this comes 2 feet,
Doesn't it?
just 2 feet there,
Okay,
in that little area.
anybody else?
all right. So we're not
good?
talking about the swimming pool now, just so everyone's clear.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure we're clear, that, you're right, it's going to be 2 feet off the ground, straight back, no obstructions. On the left. Right is going to be the same height with 3 feet of clearance on the right.
3 more feet of deck.
Yes.
So there's not gonna be a rail on this little parcel across? This
No,
deck's going across?
the 2 foot's not gonna have a railing,
Yeah.
it's not required,
So you can just pop up. Okay.
yeah, it's not required, right?
You will need something because it has access to the pool.
No, that'll be on the higher deck.
The higher deck.
There'll be a gate going up, locking gate.
Okay,
Need a motion in a second?
all right.
Same as what it is.
So, okay, so just one more time, right now, we're not dealing with these pool setback, we're dealing with the decks and possibly landscaping and the setback for the pool equipment platform, which is supposed to be 10 feet, and it's only 7 feet.
Correct.
No matter where they put that platform, they're gonna need that variance. Okay, so, anybody wanna make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Michael Richmond?
You know, after listening to the testimony of some of the board members, Sam, and I guess I really didn't hear through this whole testimony really what, I mean, the deck that's there now is a decent-sized deck. It's not like it's a, you know, a 3 or 4 foot, 5 foot deck. I didn't really hear any compelling testimony for these variances. Besides the fact that, you know, I guess you could, you know, it would help the pool situation out. But other than that, I look at that picture on the right, and, you know, I know that we're taking it 3 feet away, but personally, I didn't really hear anything that would make me think that it was valid to grant the variance, so, the pool equipment is okay with me. I think we could get really close with the landscaping, but as far as the deck, I can't vote for that, so I'm gonna vote no.
Richard Patterson?
I agree with Mike, I vote no.
Dan Adams?
Okay. You know, based on the fact that you were giving in and giving us the access on the side, and you are going to go with the landscaping, the variance for the landscaping, and the neighbor's testimony, or not testimony, but the neighbor stating that as long as they keep the deck below that height, and you conform, and you provide, like you just said, locking gate for the second floor access, I will vote for it.
Craig Palmisano?
I have a problem with the left side deck going to the property line. And also, the purpose of that deck. I try to visualize what could be put on that little deck. Is it going to be barbecues, or what else is there for that deck? It's an open area, is it going to be a kitchen? I have no idea what's going to be on there. I don't like it going up to the property line myself on that one. And 3 feet is nice on the other side, but the 6 foot is much nicer. And I kind of agree with the chairman, Mr. Mike Richmond. I vote against that.
Rich Tolson?
You know, when I read through this, oh, thank you. When I first looked at this, my first response on my notes was asking too much. Just from a personal point of view, I hear my father's words echoing in my ears. You're putting a pool next to the bay. And I get concerned. I imagine this planning board and zoning board has been setting precedent for long since I've been on here, but I haven't, like the chairman said, he made a very accurate statement. I haven't heard anything compelling why we would grant it. I don't see any benefit to the community. As is the case in most of these applications, there's a tremendous benefit to the owner, which is, you know, your prerogative for sure, but I haven't been moved by any of the testimony to grant this, so I'll be voting no as well.
Johanna Persky?
I think when it comes to the landscape coverage, you're gonna come like incredibly close. So I appreciate the concessions that were made. I do understand now, I have much better clarity on the deck situation that's being proposed. And the orientation of the neighbor's house, certainly, while that's not how we base our decisions, I think that in this particular case, it's helpful information should the property eventually change hands. So based on all of that, I'm going to vote to approve it.
Herb Bazagna?
I'm going to agree with the chairman with the decks. I have a problem with the decks going out to the one left side going out to the property line. And the 3 feet on the other side, it kills the integrity. I'll vote no.
Andrew Campbell?
I do appreciate the clarity with all of this. It was somewhat confusing prior to today, trying to understand all of the provisions. I just think that we'd be setting a negative precedence for future cases that come down the road with applications like this. And I'm going to vote no.
John Pitts?
Yeah, I have nothing to add to what already been said by other members of the board. I vote no.
Motion fails. 2 in favor, 7 opposed.
Sorry, you need to go on?
Well, I don't know what the vote on the pool would do because you
Yeah,
can't have
I'm
a
just
deck.
I'm trying to give you your opportunity. I tend to agree. Without the deck,
And I don't think I want to take a vote on the pool because depending if we come back, I don't want
yeah,
it
if
as
you can
the idle
rearrange
argument.
something, I would agree.
Um,
We'll say that's moot for the time being, so.
Yeah, I think that was it. All right. I do owe it to my client to say something here, however. We're going to be back to something else. And what you did tonight is a fairly significant injustice. Not just for the people who voted no, because you're allowed to vote no. But I think it's important to have an open mind when you listen to this case, all of it, and realize a couple of things. One, there is no precedent in a planning board case, ever, ever, ever. Each case stands on its own. When you say you're creating a bad precedent, that's not the law. So please keep that in mind for the future. Additionally, it seemed as if some of the board members, even in your comments, had your minds made up ahead of time, which is improper as well. So every applicant deserves your respect and deserves to be treated with an open mind, that you give them an opportunity to to present a case fairly, and I don't think they got a fair shake tonight. That's it. So,
Can I respond?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. So, yeah, thank you.
you're welcome, Mike.
Am I allowed to speak at this point?
Eh,
No? I mean, no, I just want to say thank you for your time tonight. I really appreciate everybody staying a little late to hear our case, and I just appreciate what you guys do, all right? And, we'll see you again soon, I hope.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay. We don't have any other business, so get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All in favor?
All right.